Hello, YouTube. My name is Sister Shiro, and I just want to share this message with my listeners today. I was reading the book of Jonah yesterday, and the book of Jonah is about a prophet who had been sent to a certain city called Nineveh, and Nineveh was a great city, very prosperous, very successful. But the city itself had a lot of sins and vices going on. And knowing God and his timings, it came a time when it was judgment time. It was time for God to send his judgment to the city of Nineveh. But God, in his graciousness and his compassion, before he sent judgment to the city, he sent a prophet called Jonah to go and warn the people of Nineveh to turn back from their ways. But Jonah, the prophet Jonah, had this self-righteous thing going on. And as far as Jonah was concerned, the people of Nineveh did not deserve the mercy of God. They were too evil, or they were too sinful, or they were too wicked. Whatever was going on in Jonah's mind, but he did not feel like they deserved of God's mercy. And so he decided to take a plan B, and instead of going to Nineveh, he went to another city called Tarshish. Now, if you know the story of Jonah, when he tried to run away from what God was calling him to do, or when he tried to run away from the will of God, things did not turn out well for him, because God sent a storm. When Jonah boarded the ship that was taking him to Tarshish, God sent a storm. And the storm was so bad, it was so rough, that his shipmates had to throw Jonah overboard for the storm to actually calm down. So Jonah was thrown overboard, and God appointed a big fish. Thanks to God's mercy, I'm telling you guys, God is so merciful. God appointed a great fish, and it swallowed Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of this fish for 3 days. And eventually, we are told that Jonah actually did what God had called him to do. And he went to Nineveh, and he told them what God had sent him to do. And thankfully, the Nineveans actually repented from their vile sins, from the very smallest person all the way to the king. They repented, and they put on sackcloth, and they fasted, and they turned their backs, and they repented. The funny thing is that Jonah, instead of celebrating this, he was actually displeased. Because as far as he was concerned, these people, they did not deserve the mercy of God. But the thing about God is that God is impartial. God is not a respecter of persons. His mercy and his compassion is available to all, black or white, man or woman, child or adult, to the most vile, even to those who believe that they are righteous. God is not partial. He is full of loving kindness. And in Jonah 4, verse 11, God asks Jonah, should I not have compassion on Nineveh, the great city, in which there are more than 120,000 persons who do not know the difference between their right and left hand, as well as many animals? I mean, God is so gracious. Not only did he have compassion on the 120,000 people, but he also had compassion on the many animals that are going to be destroyed due to the sins of the people. And you know what, guys? The same compassion is available to us this day, this month, this week, this year. The same compassion the same mercy and the same loving kindness is available. And the Lord is speaking to someone who has become like Jonah, and they're just running away from the will of God, and they are running into things that are going to destroy their lives. They are running into drunkenness, they are running into addictions, drug addictions and porn addictions. They are lying into corruption and stealing and lying. They are running into murder. They are running into outbursts of anger and letting anger take over their lives. They are running into homosexuality. They are running into abortion. They are running into all sorts of vices. But the compassion of God is still available. Sometimes when we think about God, we think about the God who's always waiting to punch us and to beat us over the face with a rod. But that's not God. He's actually extremely patient. His patience just startles me. I'm in awe of his patience. He is so patient with us, and he's always calling us. And God is calling someone today, someone who is running away like Jonah, someone who probably was very much in love with God, very much in love with Jesus, but then I don't know what happened. Maybe you are hurt by a pastor, maybe you are hurt by someone who represents God, and you decided, no, this is not the way anymore. But God is calling out to you, to someone who is running away, and he's saying, come back. I have so much compassion, I have so much mercy available, I have good plans for your life. That's the God we serve, a God who's full of loving kindness. The same loving kindness he had on the people of Nineveh. They repented, they turned back from their vices, from their sins, and they came back to the straight path. And so I'm speaking to someone today and I'm saying, maybe that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. When the Lord speaks to you, you know it. You know it in your heart when the Lord speaks to you. That he's telling you to come back to the right way, and to embrace him, and to embrace his righteousness, and to embrace his way. God is our creator, and he's our heavenly Father. That's what Jesus taught us to pray. Our Father who art in heaven. He's our heavenly Father, and he wants the absolute best for us. But the enemy of our souls, the devil, Satan, wants nothing but the worst. I can only imagine how he must have felt when these people of Nineveh turned back. So if you're listening today, the Lord is telling you to turn back from that way of addiction, that way of drunkenness, that way of alcoholism, that way of violence and anger, and to go running into the arms of Jesus. Be blessed.